Welcome, everyone. In case you're just joining, my name is Krista. I'm a partner manager here at Shipbob, and I'm excited to introduce Tisha, who is the CMO over at Kickfurther. How are you, Tisha?
I am doing well. Great to be here.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. A little background, Tisha has had more than 20 years of experience in marketing, working with all kinds of companies, ranging from startups to Fortune 50 companies. During today's session, she's going to dive into why growing brands face cash flow issues, what funding options are available, and how Kickfurther's out-of-the-box funding model helps brands eliminate stockouts, keep up with the demand, and continue growing. So with that, I will pass it over to you, Tisha, and everyone watching. Make sure to drop your questions in the chat.
Thank you. Okay, just one moment. We'll get started. And let's get to the beginning. Hold on one sec. Okay, here we are. Thanks everyone for joining today. Super excited to be here. Again, my name is Tisha Hulburd, Chief Marketing Officer here at Kickfurther. And we are going to talk about an out-of-the-box funding solution. Kickfurther is, in fact, an out-of-the-box funding solution, very different from other types of funding out there that you may be familiar with, and so very excited to get started. Kickfurther's funding solution provides best-in-market rates with the flexibility that is ideally suited for high-growth, fast-growing e-commerce brands. So to start with, let's talk a little bit about why do growing brands face cash flow issues? So there are a lot of different reasons, and you may have experienced some or all of these. For example, you may have challenges allocating your existing cash resources. Perhaps you have some R&D, some marketing, advertising budgets that need to be funded. Maybe you're having you're having a viral moment and you have a product that's really hot. The demand is growing faster than your cash flows are growing, or perhaps you are experiencing supply chain issues and bottlenecks. We know that's becoming more and more of an issue. All of these things may lead to stockouts, which we know for an e-com brand can be a very poor customer experience. And so those are issues that are challenging for our e-commerce partners. We also know that many times you have these net term relationships that result in a gap between the time that you have to pay to produce or procure your inventory and the time that you're selling and getting repaid. And so that can also create a cash flow challenge. For some of our partners, access to capital is becoming more difficult as interest rates are rising. We know that traditional lenders and financiers are becoming more tight with their lending models. And so that can cause an issue. And of course, seasonal sales, it's certainly wonderful when we get in a season, then our products spike, but that may require additional cash that is hard to come by to accommodate those specific spikes. So there's a lot of reasons why brands face these cash flow issues, but we're going to talk a little bit about different ways that you can solve those. So what are your current funding options? Many companies bootstrap. They rely on their own savings, maybe some input from friends and family, or their credit cards. They may go to banks, as we've talked about, to get traditional loans or lines of credit. In some cases, giving up equity to their company is a way to raise funds. So that's something that we know a lot of growing companies turn to doing, although it's not ideal for them. They don't necessarily want to give up equity in their growing business. Purchase order financing is another traditional and popular way to secure this financing, but of course, to avail yourself of that, you have to have a purchase order, and we know that some of our e-com partners do not have that. Merchant cash advances is something that some partners have taken advantage of in the past. It's a very, very expensive form of financing, should be your absolute last resort, because even though it may seem like a simple way to receive cash fast, it does often carry with it triple-digit interest rates or APRs. So please try to avoid those if you can. Revenue-based financing, again, is more of what you see traditional financiers. Maybe it's a bank, or maybe it's an intermediary who will look at your books, see what your revenue flow is, and offer you some percentage of that revenue flow as finance terms. Often 30 to 50% is what you can borrow on those types of terms. And lastly, we're going to talk about what we consider an out-of-the-box solution to secure cash flow and take care of that cash flow gap that we talked about. And that's very specifically inventory funding, and we'll talk about how Kickfurther uniquely provides that inventory funding. So Kickfurther can fund up to 100% of the cost of goods. And so the average funding amount that we see is about $178,000. But we also can fund up to $5 million to either manufacture new inventory or reimburse for current stock. What that really allows you to do is take your other cash assets and reinvest them where your business needs it most. Again, that could be your marketing, it could be your R&D, or it could be other sales efforts. Uniquely, and again, talking about out-of-the-box solutions, we are really unique in the fact that we are not a debt and non-dilutive. So you're not going to have to give up equity to participate in Kickfurther's inventory funding platform. And importantly, it's not a loan, so it's not a debt and does not show up on your balance sheet. Now, why is that important? Very important, because since it's not a debt on your balance sheet, it works very well with your other financing options. Because we only fund the inventory, and because our model pays your supplier directly and consigns the rights back to you, it really frees you up then to pursue other lending opportunities with other sources of financing. We also provide uniquely custom payment terms, and this is not something that you'll find at a bank or with some of these other intermediary funding partners. We don't ask you to start repaying the cost of the funding that we provided for the inventory until you start to sell. And so as your sales cycle begins and the revenue starts to come in from those sales, that's when you start to repay the funding amount that was provided to secure your inventory. And so again, when you use other financing options like a bank or maybe a credit card, you secure a loan or through some other intermediary, in general, once you sign on the dotted line, your repayment terms they kick in. You have to start making those payments back, even though you have not yet started to sell your inventory and have not yet seen revenue from it. And so it's really a wonderful part of our program and our platform that we allow custom payment terms to, again, take care of that cash flow gap between the point of manufacture and the point of selling your product. How does it work? Kickfurther receives the details of your inventory. We pay up to 100% of that cost directly to your suppliers or your manufacturers, or in some cases to reimburse you for costs you've already incurred to secure inventory. That inventory, just like it normally would, is produced and shipped to your warehouse. We don't need to be involved in that process. The inventory then sells through your sales channels, just like it would normally, through your e-commerce, or perhaps you have a wholesale channel. Whatever those various channels are, you sell through those and report back to Kickfurther as those sales have happened. And once that takes place, that kicks in the repayment cycle. So as the sales occur and you're receiving your revenue, then you are repaying the amount of the cost of goods that we have funded for you. So what does that provide in terms of opportunities for you? Well, it provides a significant opportunity to unlock growth. Because we're funding up to 100% of your inventory costs, you don't have to look for other sources of financing to pay for your inventory. As we mentioned, many participants in the space will only lend to 30 to 50% of your loan to value or of your revenue streams. And so uniquely with Kickfurther, we will fund up to 100%. So what does that mean? That means that you can take the funds that you have and use those and deploy those to enter growth mode. That can mean adding new product lines, new sales channels, or expanding internationally. It can also help you capitalize on market demand, and we're going to talk a little bit about how a partner of ours did that to great success. It may give you the opportunity to lower your cost of goods and realize higher margins. Again, as we mentioned, it works very well alongside other capital providers because, importantly, funding through Kickfurther is not a debt and does not show up on your balance sheet. You don't have to give up equity, which is very, very important to many of our partners that work with us. And so, all in all, Kickfurther really is the best in-market opportunity for you to fund your inventory and helps partners, all of our partners, enter growth mode. So let's talk a little bit about a specific partner who's done that. Tidyboard has done some work with Kickfurther, and you have this quote up here, how they were pleasantly surprised in how much they were able to fund in a very quick time, in 30 minutes. The situation with Tidyboard was that they came up with a great product and it started to grow very fast. So they secured their first round of funding through a crowdfunding partner, and when they realized that they needed additional funding to keep up with the fast growing demand, they came to Kickfurther. And were able to fund over $520,000 of inventory across 3 different raised tranches. Why did they need that $520,000 of inventory so quickly? Well, their product went viral. Demand grew so fast because they sold out in less than half the time they expected. So of course that created that cash flow gap. Now they needed cash to secure this additional inventory so they could keep up with the demand. Importantly, growing brands don't want to have to say no to those opportunities when lightning strikes and a product gets hot. That's where Kickfurther comes in. Tidyboard saw over 100% growth in sales, was able to expand internationally because of being able to work with Kickfurther, and Kickfurther being able to fund that inventory as the demand grew very, very rapidly. So, are you ready to get growing? You can grow further and faster in 2023 with Kickfurther. How do you get started? Go to kickfurther.com and create a free business account. You can also contact sales@kickfurther.com and get connected with an account rep that will help you get started to build your customized deal. And once all of that is done and we have your details, we can put you on our platform and get you funding quickly. The last thing I'd like to invite everyone to do is scan the QR code, because we have such a fabulous ecosystem of partners, including Shipbob and many other great partners that have offerings that you'll find very valuable. If you scan that QR code, you'll have the opportunity to access exclusive partner discounts, as well as enter our grand prize giveaway worth over $40,000, including $5,000 off a Kickfurther Pro contract. And so very excited, you'll scan that QR code. It will only take you 3 minutes to fill out a quick survey, and then you'll have access to those exclusive discounts and be entered into our grand prize giveaway. So thanks again for joining us. That's all I have, but I think I probably have a few minutes for questions.
Thank you so much, Tisha. That was great. I know inventory funding, I love to watch Shark Tank, and I swear that's like the #1 thing that people are looking for money for. So this was great, full of great insights. I don't think there are any questions right now in the chat. Brandy was in there answering a couple, but she's going to drop your guys' contact info in there as well. Again, this recording will go out to everyone that's registered. And if you have any additional questions, feel free to visit the Kickfurther booth. But thanks so much, Tisha.
Thanks. Have a great day, and thanks for having me. And to future success for everyone who's joined us. I hope that's a great year.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.